Farrah Khan argued that British jobs would be at risk in the period of uncertainty if Britain votes to leave the European single market. Pro-Leave politician Nigel Farage says a so-called Brexit is still possible, though he believes the murder of pro-Remain MP Joe Cox last week slowed his side's momentum. The Telegraph newspaper wonders if thunderstorms forecast for Thursday's vote could depress turnout, which it suggests would benefit the Leave camp. Peter Kenyon, NPR News, London.
UBS, one of the major forces in the foreign exchange markets, is now advising clients to prepare for trading volatility, no matter which way the vote goes tomorrow on Brexit. Thanks to a daring rescue mission at the South Pole, a sick American worker will soon be able to get medical attention off Antarctica. NPR's Jeff Brumfield reports a plane arrived last night at a remote U.S. science outpost and was grounded for at least 10 hours before it began its return journey.
The National Science Foundation, which runs this station, has only done this twice before, and that's because it's winter at the South Pole right now, and conditions are really harsh. The National Weather Service says the current temperature is minus 76 Fahrenheit with a wind chill of minus 113.
That's NPR's Jeff Brumfield. This is NPR News.
Hey guys, this is Lulu Miller, co-host of Invisibilia, the show about the invisible forces that shape human behavior. And I am here to answer the number one question we have been getting in the Twitter sphere. Where have you been? To which I respond, where haven't we been? A police station, a prison cell, a mosque, fire hydrant in New York City. And we have been going to all these places and more to bring you the stories for Season 2 of Invisibilia, which starts June 17th. Come with us around the world and inside the perhaps more bewildering place of the mind. Listen to our new trailer and subscribe now at npr.org/podcasts and
let's face it, not all company challenges are the same, which is why Strategic Market Intelligence can help identify the actionable information you need to be more competitive. Gain a better understanding of your brand, competition, best prospects, or new product opportunities to generate greater revenues in 2015. Call 949-357-9547 or visit www.strategicmarketintelligence.com.
I'm on the observation deck of the Empire State Building to demonstrate how much material Waste Management recycles. As North America's largest residential recycler, last year alone, Waste Management recycled 12.9 million tons. How much is that? Let's do the math. Carry the 6. It's enough to fill this building more than 27 times. With experience like that, we're bound to have a program that can help your business recycle. Talk to Waste Management or visit thinkgreen.com.
When you use the Premier Rewards Gold Card from American Express, the rewards points can keep on multiplying. Buy 3 with triple points on airfare. Buy 2 with double points on gas and groceries. And a single point for pretty much every other dollar you spend on the card. Then, start choosing from over 1 million rewards to redeem all those points. Apply today and the annual fee for the first year is on us. Call 1-800-AXP-GOLD or visit axpgold.com. The annual fee for the card is $175. See terms, conditions, and restrictions at axpgold.com.
Welcome, everybody, to the Raad Life, the only talk radio show that takes you along with host and age explorer Raad Gantos on his continuing journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older. The Raad Life is brought to you this week by Your Home for a Lifetime, a company dedicated to empowering you to stay safely, independently, and comfortably in your own home. And now here is your host, Raad Gantos.
Good afternoon, Paul. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
I'm trying to do 5 things at once here.
Well, you know, you are the master multitasker, aren't you?
Right. In fact, we'll do a little quick shot of me here. There I am over in the control room here trying to manage all this stuff here.
So we're actually feeding live. We're trying something different. And if you are on Facebook and you're getting this live, are we on YouTube as well, Paul, or just Facebook?
We are, but I don't know how to find that. We're on YouTube right now, and we are on Facebook. If you go to OC Talk, if you go to Facebook and just type in OC Talk Radio, find us.
Okay, so I need you guys, if you're on there and you have nothing better to do with your lunch hour than spend it with us as usual, right? And I just want to say I really appreciate all who have given me feedback in person, and it's been kind of really a surprise after doing this for a year who actually is listening.
Isn't it, though?
So it's like, I appreciate the support, and keep on telling me and sharing with me your thoughts on how we can make this better, what topics we can talk about, etc. We really do want to make sure that it is relevant and interesting for people, even if it is while you're having lunch at your desk because you're chained to it. But
because you're lonely.
Today we're doing something different because you're lonely, Paul. Thank you. We just lost half the audience there. He didn't mean that. So we're trying something different today. Usually you can listen to us live 12 to 1 on Wednesdays by going to octalkradio.net and clicking the big listen live button.
Yes.
You can always also call us, and Paul, give them the number.
949-330-7761.
Call us, and especially if you have any questions for today's guest, you can always call us on that number every week. But we also are trying to do live video feed now, because it is all the rage.
Yep.
And I will just say that we were experimenting with this earlier in the year before Facebook came up with it. So, we're not a latecomer. We just,
right.
We didn't get our technology.
Facebook is actually going to pay celebrities. People don't realize that Facebook has now opened up live streaming.
Yeah.
Not just pictures on Facebook. You can actually stream live.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to do, but they're going to pay celebrities to go out and promote this, and they're really going to push it. Mark Zuckerberg thinks this will replace pictures on Facebook. People will take little videos of themselves and not just post pictures.
Well, it's sort of Snapchat on steroids.
Yeah.
In a way. But anyway, so we're feeding on Facebook Live, and it's on through the OC Talk Radio Facebook page.
Right.
So go there, like that. If you haven't liked it so far, you should be liking it anyway, but look for that. And let us know what you think about the quality of the feed, if there's any delay, I would suggest you turn one off or the other. Like if you're watching it on your screen, don't be listening to it as well, because that could be really crazy.
And eventually we'll put little graphics in.
Yeah, we'll
right
put some
now,
graphics.
We're doing pretty simple.
Advertising, hint, wink, wink. Right?
Yeah.
And we are also trying to feed it on YouTube, but again, being that this is very grassroots and we kind of pride ourselves on being that way,
right.
Go search OC Talk Radio on YouTube, and then that way it'll give you that as a feed. So anyway, without any further ado, I do want to welcome my guest today, who is a friend, and who I don't know why she would want to do this to herself, right? but she is actually running for Irvine City Council, and I'm not picking on Irvine. It's just I don't know why anybody would do it to anywhere, right? Especially in the crazy climate that we're dealing with this year.
Right.
Okay, but Farrah Khan is here with us today, and I'll tell you, we've had a couple of people. And we've tried to have the show be kind of relevant to getting older a little bit.
Kind of relevant.
Kind of relevant most of the time. But, getting older and not necessarily where you become like, an elder or a senior. But as you get older in life, different things pique your interest. Different things pique your engagement. You get involved in things. You take on causes. Your priorities change. And I think it's part of living. But again, there's a part of it that's also where you live in a community. And so at some point, you either get the bug of being involved in the community in a manner beyond just your household. And basically, whether that's an education path, whether it's a city council path, whether it's bigger office, a lot of times it's for a whole bunch of different reasons. But I think the main reason that is common probably throughout is being of service. And being of service for what? And this is why, I was kind of intrigued.
Which is why I stand at a traffic light near my house and I go up and clean windshields.
You're being of service?
Being of service. I run up to it's between the cars, I clean their windshield. They give me $1.
So I guess people, if you are interested of developing a radio show, call Paul, because we really need him more in the studio than on the street trying to get some pocket change to keep this thing going.
That's right.
It is a shoestring operation, but that's pretty bad, dude. We need to talk.
Being of service.
Okay, I'm opening it up with sponsors. Any sponsors who call in will give you priority on the phone line.
Please.
Right. For Paul's sake, by the way.
For my sake.
Yeah. So sponsors
but,
for Paul.
It is true, and it's interesting. We had somebody in the other day who is, I guess I shouldn't say he's supporting Trump. I'm not supporting Trump, but he was in here, and he's a young man, and I was very articulate, and he's got involved, and now he's running like Students for Trump or something here. And I was thinking, as you were going through this, there seems to be two opposite ends of the curve here. You've got millennials suddenly getting engaged, and then you got people who maybe haven't been engaged for a long time suddenly wanting to step up. That is the only good thing of all this insanity going on. I think it's motivated a lot of people to take another look at politics.
It's fascinating, and it translates down even to something like the Irvine City Council race probably, is that our communities are changing.
Yeah.
I saw a report, and Farrah, I want to just take a minute because we're going to get into this, and I'm going to forget to introduce you.
That's okay.
So I've already I've mentioned who you are, that you're running for Irvine City Council, but take a minute and give people a little bit about your background, because you've been involved in a lot of stuff. This isn't just the first foray for you into public service.
Sure, definitely. Basically, and just to kind of team off of what you guys have said previously, there's a reason for people to run right now, and it's the rhetoric that we're hearing from politicians. It's the way the country is moving and shifting. And really, it's a time either for lunatics to step up or for people that really care about the communities to step up.
And usually both, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so right now, we really need more people who care about their communities, who care about building community to step up. And that's where I come in, because for the past, 12 years or so, that's all I've been working on is community building. Whether it was from working at nonprofits or working, door knocking, dropping off flyers, getting people educated, working at the PTA, on any level that you could think of, being at the rallies, stepping up in protests. It's really how you get people to look at a cause or an issue and move forward.
Well, and anybody who has done that in any shape or form, okay, you understand just how much commitment goes into that.
Exactly.
How much time involvement it is. And in some cases, you're sacrificing time with maybe family. So these things are not just in passing. Somebody has nothing better to do with their time. This is an actual commitment, a passion to leave things better than you found them, if we can be as simplistic as that, and wherever that interest lies, right? So how did you get started? What was the first thing? I mean, you're saying 12 years. So what got you involved in stuff?
Okay, so basically, my educational background, when I first graduated, I got involved in a biotech company. Because of my writing skills and my background in microbiology, I got picked up by this biotech, worked with them for a little bit, moved on up to being regulatory affairs, quality assurance manager.
Okay.
Moved out to Southern California. I guess the employment line was really just flat at that time. And so the kids were little, started working with nonprofits, interfaith groups, PTAs, things like that, things that I cared about, the environmental groups that I worked with, and really got a feel for what was actually happening here in Irvine and in Orange County. And then as I developed that and worked within those realms, I felt a great need, that there was a need for people to speak up and educate others that were maybe too busy to do the things that I was able to do, and let them know what is happening, what can be done, and how it should be done. And so moving forward, as I helped different politicians in their back work, got into Community Services Commission on the City of Irvine's commission, but at the same time got picked up by the Interfaith Council of Newport Beach, Costa Mesa, and Irvine. And I'm currently the executive director heading that organization in my second year now.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because that seems more important than ever. We obviously are hearing
the lack of tolerance that's in...
Yeah, boy, there's a good way to put it. I thought America was where everybody could practice a religion or no religion or any religion, and now all of a sudden we're getting sucked in, and I know that some of this, and among the terrorists, they want this to be a cultural, they want this to be a religious struggle. They may see it that way, but do we have to play into that? Do we have to buy into that? And I listen to Donald Trump and others say we're now going to ban all Muslims. Next we'll ban all Catholics again. Here, I'm Catholic. Next we're going to ban Jews or whatever. When this is just so foreign to American.
Well, we forget that it wasn't that long ago that actual deeds actually forbid sales to certain ethnic groups in this country that had nothing to do with...
I'm an Irish Catholic
with religion.
And not my lifetime, my parents' lifetime, my grandfathers, when they came over here from Ireland, they were no Irish need apply. The Ku Klux Klan was as anti-Catholic as they were African Americans.
The Italian had the same thing happen to them.
You couldn't. When John F.
Mm-hmm.
Kennedy ran for president, it was inconceivable that a Catholic could be elected to public office because they're going to listen to the Pope and they're not going to have divided loyalties and all this kind of stuff here. Same thing with Mormons. We just had a Mormon run. We seem
and yet it's really funny, right? So when we shouldn't elect JFK because he might be listening to the Pope,
right?
And then we had the similar situation where people tried to paint Bernie Sanders this year, okay, because he actually went to Rome, and met the Pope.
Met the Pope, right?
So here's a 71-year-old Jew from New York who went to met the Pope, but you're still basically getting crucified. Excuse the pun, like JFK.
This is touchy to me. Don't attack any religion. I'm not
Exactly.
If they come after one, they can come after all.
Right.
And I've seen where we've had anti-religious groups here, and if we are going to root out some segment of Islamic terrorists, if that's the correct terminology, of radical Islam, don't we need the support of the Islamic community to do this?
Of course.
Exactly.
So why do we then want to do this? So you say you're in an interfaith council. Tell me what that's like today. I got to believe, if I were a Muslim, I would be very concerned about living in America right now. And I guess I should ask, are you a Muslim or Islamic?
Yes, I am.
So what's that like to be in the middle of this rhetoric right now? I would be scared.
It's scary. Not only that, but it's hurtful, because for me, I grew up here, and so my world is living in America. It's nowhere else. So when you hear things like, go back home, or you don't belong here, it's like, really, where do you want me to go?
Yeah. I remember years and years ago, there was an episode of Barney Miller, and somebody walked up, it was about racism, and this guy walks up and saw the guy whose name escapes me, great actor, played he was Chinese on the show, and he always had this deadpan delivery. And so the guy who was walking around the room, and he saw somebody, an African-American, he saw a Mexican, he looked at this guy and he says, "So where are you from?" And he went, "Cleveland."
Exactly.
I'm from yeah, we're all Americans. We're all from somewhere.
Yeah.
I think the potential for stereotyping, the potential for ethnic profiling, if you will, one way or the other, there's a human aspect of that is always going to be prevalent in one way or the other. It's just that you hope that people's awarenesses actually supersede that it isn't an instinctive reaction. And I think a lot of this that's happening right now is out of fear. I mean,
well, sure.
It's unfortunate because, like Farrah was saying, what do you mean go back home?
This is home.
This is home.
You want me to go back to San Francisco? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you mean
Cleveland.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry to touch, and maybe this isn't where you want to go, but I don't know anybody else that's of the Muslim faith. I would feel threatened by what I'm hearing, just as I would feel threatened if I were Hispanic, just as I would feel. And if one group feels threatened, I don't know why they think we can't extend this to any group. Then if one group is in fair play, then the Jews and the Catholics and everybody else will be back on the board the next week.
Well, I think you bringing it up is actually maybe a little bit more religious kind of the direction, but I think it's reality, and I think it's actually a good point, because one of the things that really appealed to me, Farrah, on your platform, and thank you for sending that to me, is the need to connect.
Exactly.
It wasn't about separation. It was the embracement of diversity, and I'm not using the word diversity solely in terms of ethnicity, but diversity across socioeconomic levels, diversity across age brackets, all of this stuff. Our society, and it's really kind of interesting. There was no such thing as Irvine before 1971.
Yeah,
right. It was unincorporated.
Right.
It got incorporated in 71, right? So you're talking about a community that started out basically in 71, mostly young adults. In 2020, this community, kind of a basis of our show, this community, Irvine specifically, in 2020, will have almost 30% of its population over the age of 55.
Wow.
That's a
Big
third,
change.
third of the population. Now, we've talked about Newport Beach, which is more established, having, again, about the same, percentile of 65 and over. San Clemente, that these are naturally occurring retirement communities, right? You got diversity in terms of ethnicity, it's almost, I think it's like 49% white in Irvine, and then the other, between Hispanics and blacks and Asians, that's almost equal. So it's like a 50-50 split in this community that is going to be about 30% elderly, right? Or seniors at 55. At least as the way ARP or the government kind of figures out seniors. But the thing about it is that has it permeates an impact on everything. It permeates impact on how you basically apply, public policy, where you allocate funds, what's the infrastructure of communities, and the basis of all of that is that this connectedness versus diversity and versus separation.
We seem to want to split everybody in groups: young versus the old, the rural versus the cities. One color versus another color, one ethnic group versus another, one religion versus another. And that's not what America is about. No. America was a melting pot where everybody comes together. We put aside those past. I think it's ironic. For many years in Northern Ireland, the Brits and the Irish for generations have fought and hated each other, and yet they come over here and everybody's friendly. The Israelis and the Palestinians are still at odds, but you come to Beverly Hills or other places where the groups interact, and it's like all that's forgotten. That was the great thing about America.
We have the same food and overbearing mothers, so right? We call each other cousins.
So going back to your point about interfaith.
Yes.
When we're talking about interfaith, we have amazing programs that we do. We bring Catholics together, the Jewish, Baha'i, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh. We're bringing all of these communities together for the Newport Mesa Irvine Interfaith Council. It's been around since the 70s, one of the oldest ones in Orange County. And so we've gone beyond the dialogue portion. We've gone beyond the let's get to know one another time. And right now we're tackling issues. We're talking about poverty. We're talking about homelessness. We're talking about human trafficking. And how can us as a faith community combined work on these issues and help out? And so when we're tackling these issues, we see the progress that we're able to make, but in the media, you don't see it.
No.
Right.
We've called the media many, many times for events that have happened, for things that we do together. We'll get one or two people show up. There's an article in the paper. People will scream and yell like, well, how dare you print this?
And
then it goes away.
It's not a reality show.
Why do you think the media has become so... I don't even want to give them the benefit of saying desensitized. Why has the media become so selective on having a sort of a tone-deaf, blind
I know
eye?
why, but I'll let her answer.
Yeah.
It's because simply what sells.
Right.
You know what?
Bingo.
Conflict sells.
Drama sells.
Drama sells. Anything that's good, anything that's positive does not sell.
If it bleeds, it leads. Right.
There you
exactly.
go.
Right.
If it bleeds, it leads.
That's what they say in local news.
Yeah.
So going back to what you started saying is that I think if that's a society we live in, where it bleeds, it leads.
I didn't make that up.
No. But there's a, and I understand the sensationalism aspect of it, and I understand that it was always there. But it was one or two stories out of 10 that were covered by the news. Not every single story.
Look at the evening programs. Reality shows used to be rare. Now they're the common thing. And the reality show is about amped up reality. It's about fighting 24 hours a day and calling each other names and catfighting and
the more outrageous you are, the better.
Yes, exactly.
And then society starts to mimic what is being exhibited, right? So it's a vicious circle. So tell me about, you have a couple of things here that kind of caught my attention. So, you use the word on number one point that you have in your campaign is growing smart.
Right.
Okay. Now, to be honest, again, I saw that, and the first thing that came to my mind is, we're trying to talk about technology. And but that's what's so funny, right? It's like, it's Irvine, we're going to talk about technology, right? But then I read it, okay? So why don't you tell people what you mean when you say growing smart?
Okay, so growing smart is really, we've got a bit of a land that we still need to develop. We're a growing city.
Right.
How we develop that land is crucial to where we will be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Again, looking at our demographics, looking at our...
forward planning? Shocker.
I know, yeah. Who does that
in Orange County?
Crazy. Come on. That's nuts.
We want to build for today, right?
We'll give you 5 minutes.
No, we don't
give you 5 minutes to name call at the end here. That's what's going to get you.
No. We don't want to build for today. We want to build for the next 12 months so I can sell, fill and sell and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to move out of. We need to move out of that mode and really think of, like you mentioned, our senior population. It's growing. What are we doing? Do we have senior housing in Irvine? Minimal. Do we have assisted living housing in Irvine? We don't have any. So what can we do now to prepare for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line? What can we do now as our kids are growing up and have grown up in Irvine, want to come back and live in Irvine?
And cannot afford it because
they can't afford $1 million home.
Yep.
And let me bring up the
Which
one.
is a problem across all of Orange County and
Exactly.
other places similar.
Exactly.
Let me bring up the one that we were talking about before you got here, Rod, which I'd love to hear your comment, and then we got to go to a commercial, is the Great Park. The Great Park was given to the city of Irvine when we all successfully, me included, fought the airport, and now we got this chunk of land. All right, let's make a park out of it. $250 million was given. It's gone. We have no great park. What the hell happened to that money, and will there be a great park? Will there be any park?
Well, why
You want to hold that?
Yeah, let's go to the break because I don't want to
That's
break
big.
the flow. Yeah.
All right, we'll come back and talk about the great park. Is there such a thing? Right after this.
Imagine what it would feel like to lose everything. Your job, your home, your family, your dignity. This has happened to thousands of the men, women, veterans, and young adults we serve at Working Wardrobes. What do we do to help? We provide career development services, life skills workshops, job skills training. We provide the perfect interview outfit, and we get clients placed in jobs. Call Working Wardrobes, 714-210-2460. Donate, volunteer, invest, hire.
When it comes to pioneers in their respective industries, we all know the Apples, Starbucks, and Trader Joe's of the world. In the realm of recruiting, Decision Toolbox is the industry's best-kept secret, with 90% of their business from referrals and repeat customers. For over 20 years, Decision Toolbox's U.S.-based team of recruiters, sourcers, professional writers, quality personnel, and tech support has perfected a Six Sigma approach to talent management. No matter the size of the project, Decision Toolbox delivers incredible results. A cost per hire less than half of what contingency firms charge, with the winning candidate presented in an average of 14 days, all with a 12-month candidate warranty. With results like that, Decision Toolbox won't be a secret for long. Visit us at www.dtoolbox.com for more information.
If you are like the majority of Americans, you want to continue living in a familiar environment throughout your maturing years. In fact, according to many surveys, 82% of homeowners overwhelmingly prefer to age in place, which means living in their current homes safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of age or ability level. With over 30 years of combined experience in residential, commercial, hospitality, and destination resorts fields, Your Home for a Lifetime is a company dedicated to empowering you to maintain your quality of life and independence by helping you make your house your home for a lifetime. Do you want to reorganize or remodel your home? Do you want to add a full bathroom and possibly a bedroom on the main floor? Are you looking to make your kitchen more functional? Is an aging parent moving in, or your child is moving out, or even moving back in? Call Your Home for a Lifetime at 949-492-1872 or check them out on the web at yourhomeforalifetime.com and find out how they can help you make your house your home for a lifetime.
All right, we're back.
Hey, everybody. We're back with Farrah Khan. And she is running for Irvine City Council. And we left off talking about the park, about the great park.
Which seems
we're all still waiting for.
Which seems like the great disaster.
That's like the great pumpkin that never shows up, right?
Yeah, like the great pumpkin,
it
exactly.
shows up every Halloween. Come on.
Oh, that's right. Wait a minute. There is a big orange balloon.
Yeah, right. I don't know
it
why.
It rises too, just like the great pumpkin. Maybe you can get we can get Peanuts, the movie, to actually sponsor that. Maybe we can actually build something on the park.
I'm so shocked that this, what could have been a signature piece of Orange County, like Grand Central Park in New York, or like the one up in San Francisco, or other sorts of Balboa Park down in San Diego, museums, common areas, athletic fields, all sorts of endless, wonderful ideas. They got a huge chunk of land and a huge check, and they went through all of it, and nobody seems to care. It's just like, And you said even you walk around and people go, great park, yeah. It would have been great, but
Well, so when you were walking and meeting some of the voters for the primary, I'm assuming, right? So what was the reaction to that?
So basically the reaction was, okay, if we build it, great. If we don't, it hasn't been built in the past 12 years, so we can wait.
So had people given up,
They've given up. There's a few people that are still hopeful, but a lot of them are just like, you know what, this government has wasted our money, has not developed anything for the community. They really don't expect much. And that's where we can turn it around.
Why aren't they coming with pitchforks saying, where's that $250 million? Has there been an accounting of where all that money went?
I think they did that during the 2014 elections. And as soon as, certain people won and others lost, it was like, all right, great. We didn't get them in office. Now we can move on. But the park still hasn't been built.
And the money's still gone. And now the only hope is
politicians who promise things they don't deliver. It's shock.
Now the only hope is they sold off part of it to a real estate developer. Was it?
Well, I think they had to because they had no money.
Right. So will eventually they just sell off the whole thing and it'll turn into housing. Housing's more needed than a park, so there we go. And this great idea will just disappear.
It could go either way. We have a chance now to get the right people in office and make sure that we're working with the developer and pushing for that park. I met with the developer. I saw his plans and, what they have in mind. They have that lake in mind. They have, the museum portion in mind, the cultural terrace. It's all there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're willing to put the money into it. We just need a council that is able to unite and move it forward.
Has that been the problem? Because the council has been very contentious, I've heard. There's been lots of fights. Or is it just a lack of leadership and vision? Or I'm curious your perspective. What's kept this from happening?
So this is what's happened. At a local level, our council needs to be nonpartisan. And for the past some years, I would say maybe even 14 to 16 years, it's been built into a partisan race.
Hyper-partisan.
Where you will have slates coming out, a Democratic slate, a Republican slate, and it shouldn't be that way. And I don't see it in other cities as much as I do in Irvine.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time around, this year, we need to step it up and say, you know what? You can have your Republican slate, you can have your Democratic slate, but we need individuals who will step in and say, you know what, I'll get the job done, because not everyone on the slate is good.
Well, and here's the thing. I think most people, in fact, it's such a problem that I think most people don't realize that city council positions are nonpartisan.
Yes.
They're supposed to be nonpartisan.
You're supposed to work for the entire community, not a party preference.
But that's how prevalent that problem is, and it's across the board. And Irvine is one place. San Clemente is the same situation. It may not be where you're blatantly running, but your flyers that are going out there saying, endorsed by the Central Committee, blah blah blah. And here's the real danger. Okay, the real danger is that you disenfranchise people and you disincentivize people from actually engaging in civic service.
Yeah.
Because you make it a partisan situation, you make it more and more expensive because of that, and there's more people involved, and there's more money involved, there's more favors involved, and all this stuff. And in certain places, and I'm going to ask the question, right? Irvine is very associated with the Irvine Company, with development and real estate development. And in Southern California, that is a huge bread and butter industry. A lot of our money comes from property taxes and so forth. And we have been doing this for so long, especially in places that weren't around in 70 that are basically being built, right? That I don't know that, I think we're kind of like addicted to that system, which doesn't work in certain places that are built out. What do you do when people that are older are staying in their homes longer?
Right.
That the property taxes are not increasing because there's no transference of property.
You build more stuff and more stuff and more stuff until you can't.
Higher density.
Yeah.
You're basically losing your youth because you can't basically provide housing that's affordable for people starting in their lives. Even though they were educated in that community, they were born in that community, they are the future of that community that are loyal to that community, and yet because we don't, the minute somebody says affordable housing, you might as well say squatter town, or slum.
Yeah,
right. In people's psyche, you basically, and then no vacation rentals, group homes, all of that stuff. And when people talk about group homes, it's like I understand when you talk about sober living, for example, or I understand when you talk about forms that kind of like vacation rentals, like Airbnb or party houses. I understand that, but you in your head, are you really differentiating that those are one form and that there's another form of group housing? It's called board and care.
Seniors.
That you,
right.
I mean, I'm shocked when you said to me that there is no assisted living in Irvine.
There's one little cottage area, and that's it.
Yeah, Irvine cottages.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's it.
and that is a very specific form of assisted living. It's
Exactly.
memory and cognitive.
So
Exactly.
let me put the fire to your feet here. You want to be a candidate. You're running as a candidate for city council. How many people in the city council? 5 or 7?
There's 4 city council members and then 1 mayor.
How many seats are up?
2.
Okay.
2 seats. All right. How would you, if you were elected, change this? How do you beat that partisan infighting? How do you how do you create consensus out of a fractured system?
What sets you apart from other candidates?
That too, but specifically, how do you?
Well, I think the two are synonymous.
Definitely.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so you look at this. Who's in council right now, and who are they arguing with? You've got the Democrats arguing with the Republicans. You've got Republicans arguing within themselves. For me, I've worked with pretty much every single member on council and had a relationship with them. Whether it was working on homeless issues, worked with Lynn Schott on that. Whether right now we're talking about the art mural program in Irvine, I'm supporting Jeff Lalloway on that. I think it's a great program to put in place, and we should see more of it. We've seen Tilly's do it. They want to do a better job, and I'm all for it. I worked with Christina Shea when we were trying to get non-toxic Irvine, getting all the pesticides out of Irvine and going organic. Worked with Beth Crom on several issues. So these are the type of people we need in office that are able to work with the people that are elected, the people that are there and maybe coming in. I mean, for me, I already have relationships with all of them. I don't have any animosity with any of them. So for me to come in and have a dialogue with them and say, okay, what can we work out, what can we not work out, is very easy. It's very organic.
And
rather than coming in with a baggage where I come in and I say, you know what, I can't work with this person, I can't work with that person, I have my own agenda. The agenda is our community. And that's what we should be working for.
So there are some repetitive things that people say, and I've seen it happen on every election cycle. It's like somebody's going to basically step up and go, for whatever, not justified in most cases, okay? Oh, you're anti-development. Oh, you're anti-progress. Oh, you're in one or two camps. You're either a pro-development or you're a zero growth kind of person, right? And it's a very simplistic way of putting in a very complex issue. But
it's very misleading.
It's very misleading, but on purpose misleading, by the way, most of the time, right?
So
what do you answer to that person?
You have your slow growth team that's talking about, slowing growth down and maybe putting a moratorium on growth. And then you have your fast track team. But at the same time, you have to realize, as a city, our income is based on our development.
Right.
So we have to grow.
Right.
And we're going to grow only for a little while. We don't have that much space to grow anymore.
Right.
We're looking at possibly 7 years more of growth, and then we stop. Then we have to go into management mode. What happens if we don't grow correctly now after 7 years? Are we putting ourselves in a bind where financially we will not be able to be the same city we are today?
Well, yes.
And are we slowing growth down? Are we telling people that we're going to put you out of work because we're not going to build here and you're not going to have local workers coming in? These are all the things that you need to take into consideration. Don't believe the propaganda of, slow growth is going to take care of our traffic. It's not going to take care of traffic.
Right.
Stopping growth will not take care of our traffic issues.
Part of the reality is people say, well, I don't want, for example, density is a hot topic. Are we going to get it become denser? Seems like we are, because there's still growth within the county. Business is growing. We have a better economic climate than I think just about anybody in Southern California. Maybe we are the best. So jobs are still here. Companies are still growing here. Lots of tech companies are coming here and moving in, which creates demand for housing.
Exactly.
And people have children, so they're having babies anyway. You can't stop all this from happening just by not building something.
And sometimes when I hear these type of things, it really takes me back to thinking of the NIMBYs.
Yeah.
Right? So what are we really saying?
Backyard.
Are we saying by slowing growth down or by shutting growth that we don't want people coming in? And that's the wrong message.
Well, but that's a common message, and it's funny because it seems to be there seems to be a camp of each one of those parties in every community in one degree or the other. And some communities still have some room to grow, and some communities are already at build out, right? But I completely agree with you. If you don't basically establish yourself with the future in mind, and that it's unavoidable at some point, either you're at it or around the corner, you're going to have to go into management mode, and your management mode better be agile enough to handle changing needs,
right,
as well as new needs. It's not just the same model playing out and out and out.
Managing the old stuff, right?
Exactly.
And this is the
facility maintenance. I mean, all of this stuff. If you're not building it correctly, and if you're not building it to last, not only is it a bad investment that you should be getting more out of your investment,
right,
but it's also in a way irresponsible.
This is the city that created master plan communities, one of the pioneers of long-term planning, of creating a community where people could start off in an apartment and move to a condo and then a house and then to a seat, that whole cycle of your life to accommodate that. And now all of a sudden we seem to be back into agenda politics. You elect me because I'm going to stop growth. You elect me because I'm going to fight this. You elect me because I'm against this. And that's the only reason you elect me. And so you got a bunch of people who come in with a non-negotiable position and all argue amongst each other. That's not government.
That's not government at all. And that's why I keep saying we need our voters to be educated, to learn what is possible in Irvine and what is just hearsay. Don't go for those, flashy little signs that say, oh, I'm going to do this for you, because really, if you look at it, most likely they won't be able to do anything for you.
And in some cases, they are basically purposeful distractions, by the way, from the real issues.
Look over here so you don't look at this.
That's right.
The shiny object thing.
I would think your work on interfaith councils would have tremendous bearing on your ability to work with
people.
Connect people.
Trust me. That's experience in itself. So, I mean, if you're able to bring a variety of faith groups together, I don't see why it's so difficult to bring a community together.
Right. And this is a much more diverse religious community than people think as well. I know that there's a large percentage of Catholics in all of Orange County. We happen to have a very high percentage of Catholics, partly because of the Hispanic and the Vietnamese communities. But you also have, like you mentioned, don't we have a Sikh temple in somewhere in the area?
Santa Ana.
And we have also you mentioned a Baha'i. I don't know if they call them temples or whatever.
There's Baha'is in Irvine and Costa Mesa and Newport, all three cities.
So, this is beyond just Catholics and Protestants and I mean, there's Buddhists and Muslims and Sikhs and Baha'is and everything. There's a very religiously diverse community here in Orange County.
And that's what I mean. A lot of people, I think, don't realize just how diverse.
Yes, right.
It is. And when you start looking at numbers, there was a study that was done. I was trying to find it to reference people to it, but there was a study that was done, and I'll find it and I'll post it, by UCLA and UCI. And it was, I think, a couple of years ago that they released the results of it, and it shows Orange County demographics and diversity. You would be very surprised, and it might. I'll be candid. It may scare the living daylights out of some people that are living in a bubble that basically in their pretense is one way.
This is this old Anglo-Saxon white Protestant community, Republican bedroom community. It doesn't look like
there's
that
a reason why Orange County is going purple. There's a reason why there is dual immersion programs.
Yes.
There's a diversity in Orange County that maybe some people don't realize. Now, having said that, I think absolutely we're all in it together, and you got to connect and not split people into these little camps.
Right.
If you do that, I got to question why you're doing it. Okay, so what are some of the things what are some of the issues with this sort of connectiveness? What are some of the issues that you think are priorities in Irvine?
I mean, right now, there's so much we can do as far as renewable energy goes. I mean, we call ourselves the city of innovation. Innovation doesn't end at technology and becoming the next Silicon Valley. I mean, what are we doing as far as our businesses go? City Hall, where are the solar panels? Where is our movement towards making ourselves sustainable? And a lot of that has already been done and researched by UCI, which is right here in Irvine, and we don't take advantage of that information.
Right, because research means I get grant money or I get funding to do the research. But then when you basically put that burden on a company to basically now have to have a limited carbon footprint or some recyclable programs or things that are not just figurative and symbolic but are actually meaningful and quantifiable, I can hear it already. You're putting a burden on businesses that are already stretched, and you're cutting down on profitability and da-da-da-da-da. You either walk the talk,
right,
or it isn't real.
And there is a growing movement, they call it conscious capitalism, where businesses are realizing it isn't just a good thing to do good. It's
a smart business thing to do.
Smart business move. You make money by doing good. You save energy, you save costs, you save waste, you save trash, you save all sorts of things. All of these programs you just threw out might initially be a cost, but there's also a cost savings over time too.
You know what?
There's zero waste program for restaurants that UCI has started. Why can't we start that here in Irvine?
Right.
And we had Waste Management sponsors one of our shows. I don't know if they're the waste
What happens
hauler.
on campus stays on campus.
I don't know if they're one of the waste haulers in Irvine or not here, but they do a lot of the county. And they have willingly embraced this program and are trying to roll this out so that now there'll be a third can. I know that some people may groan, but I groaned when they started with 2 cans, and now I don't even think about it. Why wouldn't I take the food and put it into a third can?
Exactly.
And that food waste, and that can be recycled separately and doesn't contaminate all the other recyclable stuff.
You know, it's funny. I was at a gathering the other day, and somebody was actually talking about organic waste being recycled and turned into pellets that would then be burned for
fuel.
Energy.
Absolutely,
right. And so, yeah, if you're going to be innovative, to your point, if you're going to be innovative, you can't just be innovative to the point where the report has been released.
Right.
And if we only have so much,
yeah, you got to do something.
And if we don't have so much land, we got to divert more, and they've done a tremendous job. They really have of diverting a lot out of the landfills already. But we need to continue to squeeze that orange and get as much as we can out of it here, as juice as we can. I'll use an orange analogy because we only have so much land to put trash in.
And the reality is, there's only so much ocean frontage. There's only so much proximity to ocean.
Right.
You have a climate that is very appealing. There are people that are going to come here for multiple reasons, whether it's for starting their own business, whether because it's retirement, whether it's because I basically want to be closer to my grandparents, whether it's just a single, whether you're family.
Maybe it's
there's
just
a whole
freedom.
range.
People coming from other countries.
There's a large influx of people that are coming to buying some of the newer homes in Irvine that are from China.
Exactly.
We had Matthew Harper here, and he basically was talking about how there's this infusion of a lot of stuff. So again, if we don't think proactively in advance, we're going to get ourselves in trouble.
And that's what people are not realizing. We can't keep going in the cycle mode that we are right now. We need to be proactive. We need to look at our future. And not only that, but we need to get our community to get involved.
Yes.
Right now, in City Council, so many things are passed or repealed, and no one knows about it.
Right.
Why? Because they're not outreaching to the community.
And I'll tell you something interesting. Well, that's been a pet peeve of mine since I started this station. We do now, fortunately, have a public policy show sponsored by the Association of California Cities Orange County and Waste Management and several others, and the HERO program, Waste Management, Rutan and Tucker, and West Coast Arborist. I have to list them all. One of the things that I argue about all the time is so much that happens in public government at the local level goes completely unnoticed.
Exactly.
Now, part of that is our fault. We don't pay attention. Part of that, I'm going to argue, is that's the way they like it because then they can get stuff done and nobody argues about it. And a couple public policy officials have told me off air, well, it's kind of easier if nobody shows up at the hearing. We get our work done and we don't turn it into a big issue. When it becomes an issue, everything slows down. And I'm like, so really, you're saying then that you don't want to build any support for long-term planning. You want to do things quietly so nobody will object to it. And then when they do, all of a sudden there's misinformation out there and you haven't built any sort of consensus to draw upon.
Isn't that transparent? Isn't that transparency?
I have a great example for that one.
Okay.
Just recently, our council had this idea that they wanted to rename Trabuco Road to Great Park Boulevard.
Okay.
Great idea. Sounds good. Okay, so randomly, I'm meeting people, I'm walking. I go into this one office space just to introduce myself. And then the lady at the front counter shows me this memo, and she's like, have you seen this? I'm reading this memo, and it basically tells the business, you know what, we're going to do a name change for this street. You've got 30 days. If there's, if you want to come and talk about it or have any concerns, let us know. They did not even look into the fact that there were 64 businesses that would be affected by this name change. Wow. You're looking at small business owners to bigger businesses.
New business cards, new stationery, new websites, everything. Yeah.
And when I went to that neighborhood and I talked to all the businesses there and I said, are you guys going to this city council meeting? And they're like, yeah, we are. And I'm like, good, I'll be there too. We spoke up, and people actually brought accounting numbers saying between $6,000 to $20,000 was the cost of them that would come to them because of this simple name change. What's the purpose of the name change? Does it lead to the Great Park? It doesn't. It actually leads to the homes. And if you look at the street itself, it starts at Culver, it ends near Lake Forest. So that was a portion that was going to be renamed.
So it leads to what homes? The homes that are
the new
by
homes
the
where they're going to build.
By the Great Park.
So it's driven by a marketing pitch for the properties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, after all of that, we had 20 people testify. After hearing the testimonies, our mayor goes, I understand that there's a cost to you, but doesn't it sound great? And everyone was sitting there
well, then you know
in
what?
shock, like, what?
So it's more important that it sound
should be
great.
part of the entitlement that the developer is responsible for to compensate all these businesses. I'm sorry, I'm sounding like radical here, but basically, my name is Raad. I'm not going to change my name, so I am radical.
You're
right?
radical.
But basically, if you're going to do that, City of Irvine, then basically provide some sort of compensation in part, in shared funds, whatever. If there's a benefit, which there will be, I mean, nobody's stupid here, right? There's a benefit to the developer at the end of that road if the road is called the Great Park,
right?
Because it actually elevates the property attraction.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, then compensate the businesses that are affected. They're going to basically incur $6,000 to $10,000.
How about actually not just put a notice in the back page of some little throwaway paper that you're
darn it, you didn't show up and speak about it.
Yeah.
Right.
How about actually reaching out to people and saying, getting them involved early and said,
beforehand.
Yes. Somebody suggested this, might be appealing, might help our
community workshop on something that has to do with
a little town hall in the area. I don't know. There's so many ways to do that.
How about we really talk about this and then see what? Oh, we hadn't thought about that. Yeah, there is a cost. Well, then here's how we pay for it.
So okay, so that kind of touches on.
To wrap that up,
on that.
Basically at the end, this is what's happening. Trabuco will remain Trabuco from Culver to Sand Canyon, where the businesses are. From Sand Canyon to Lake Forest, it'll turn into Great Park Boulevard, and then return to Trabuco in Lake Forest.
The worst of all options. So you get this little confusion. Am I in Great Park? Am I in Trabuco? What happened? Where do I go?
And what is the development called?
The in that area?
Yeah.
Beacon Park.
Beacon Park. Okay. So
yeah, it's not. They're going to call it the Great Park Home.
The Great Park through Beacon Park. No. Okay. So this is obviously something that's not working. I mean, I'm shocked.
Exactly.
I'm shocked to hear about.
That's just one. I have like a list of them.
So what else isn't working? I mean, communication seems to be breaking down as far as outreach form of communication.
The point of if I'm to be
it's not
believed,
breaking. They don't want it to happen.
I understand. I was being nice. I said it's breaking down.
They
right?
want to do
it.
what they want to do, and hope as few people hear about it until afterwards. And then
you're not really good for me. I try to really at least spend a few hours a week not being jaded completely, and then I show up here and you completely get me into it again. So, but what else isn't working from your perspective?
We only got a couple minutes. Couple minutes left.
Okay, so our public transportation. That's not working.
Is there any?
It's a good question.
Public what?
Yeah.
We definitely need to look at that again. We need to see what can we do for people that actually live and work in Irvine. What can we provide them in public transportation to get them off the roads? People are talking about no growth is going to solve the traffic issues. That's not what's going to happen.
Because the people are already here. They're just packed into an apartment or a house or whatever. Yeah.
Also, can we get school buses for our school children? Ones that cannot walk or bike to school, that are being driven to school. Mm-hmm. Can we get a system in place? And I know it can happen. Other cities where city council and school boards have worked together to make that happen, and we can do it the same way. But right now our city council doesn't like our school board, so it's okay. They don't like to communicate as much. But we get the right people in. Let's get that conversation going.
That's a big problem in a lot of cities.
I'm confused. Do you have no transportation for children to schools in Irvine?
So you don't know this because you don't have kids. When my daughter started school in Rancho Santa Margarita, I said, good, you take the bus. They said, what bus? There's no bus. So what do you mean? That's all I took when I was a kid, is a bus. There's no buses. Unless you live with like a couple way out maybe, but there is, you can't pay for it, find it, whatever. There is no bus. So in the morning, the traffic goes for a mile as all the parents are lined up dropping their kids off. We had to be the bus.
Anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes to go through the loop of dropping your kid off and coming out.
And that is the typical scenario. They've cut out school buses almost entirely, partly because of cost, partly because of fear. It's much safer. I'm going to drop my kid off myself. They're not going to be I don't know what the rationale is.
That is unconscionable.
That's everywhere. That's everywhere. buses have disappeared.
Because there used to be a bus yard down in South County, right? For Capistrano Unified, for example. And so you're telling me there are no buses?
There are some, but most, I don't know about Capistrano so much, but I know, well, Capistrano Unified School District, where my daughter went, they took all the buses away. And then I forgot how you qualify to get a bus, but it ain't easy. So you have to either
so there's
walk
a nice
or drive.
little piece of property that's available for resale and development now where we used to be the bus yard.
They've taken away buses, so that's increased time and traffic dramatically.
So lack of transparency, or at least seemingly breakdown in communication and outreach. Transportation, public transportation issues.
Right.
What else?
Environment, making sure that we are sustainable.
We touched on that, right?
Making sure that we are working for the community and for the entire community, not a portion of the community, but everyone. Making sure that the quality of life that Irvine has promised remains the way it is, or even gets better.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask a question, because this came up in specifically in the case of Anaheim, for example.
2 minutes,
right?
all right.
What is what's the diversity of the city council in Irvine? Is it diverse?
I think the only diverse person we have is Mayor Choi, who's Korean.
So would you say that the city of Irvine's city council is representative of the community?
Oh, no, not at all.
Or the old community that once was, the old Anglo-Saxon, older, whiter community. They had that trouble in a lot of the Vietnamese areas. You know, the city council is all a bunch of old white guys that lived there for 100 years.
I'm just going to say this, and anybody who's listening who is in that position in any city in Orange County, okay, you should be reading the tea leaves.
The world's changing.
The world is changing. What happened in Anaheim happened based on ethnicity. Okay, and lack of representation on city council. There's an effort down in San Clemente that has nothing to do with ethnicity, but it has to do with the lack of representation based on a community of 65,000 that's looking at districting itself in order to achieve more of that. If you're in that position, you better wake up, because last generation's Orange County, the face of Orange County is changing, and you're either going to basically have to come to terms with that one way or the other, or be warned what's going to happen.
And, it's an interesting point. I don't know if people realize, but Anaheim set up districts now, so you have to be elected from your district in Anaheim, whereas most cities
there was an ACLU threat of a lawsuit. I mean, that's
most cities are still at large.
That's what caused the redistricting.
Right. And the argument against at large is you get a handful of rich, wealthy, white people that run this city that's now ethnically diverse, and they don't listen to or try and meet the needs of the rest of the community. It's a small group that ends up running the town. On the other hand, it's kind of sad, isn't it? We've had some people talk against that in here. And they said, is that what we have to come to? Because when you are elected, the minute you're elected, you're supposed to represent the entire community.
When we started the conversation, we talked about how it's supposed to be nonpartisan, and
exactly.
has become partisan.
And the argument,
so you sow those seeds, you reap what the results are.
And the argument against it is, in effect, then you're admitting that we're all going to just represent our own neighborhood. So now we're going to have, everybody's going to have a voice. That's good. It's not one neighborhood running the whole city. But now how are you going to get those 4 or 5 neighborhoods to cooperate, because they're only there to serve the need of that little micro part of the city?
And that's why you need people like Farrah who are running, who are looking to actually be a bridge
between all these,
versus build a trench and basically a fortification.
Right.
Okay. And if we as a society do not understand the importance of people that have that ability and approach and believe it, okay, and walk that talk, we will suffer as a society in all these individual communities and as a whole, regionally, nationally, okay? Because at the end of the day, that is the only solution.
But we're not.
That is a sustainable solution, to use the term.
We don't seem to elect bridge builders. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal about Donald Trump, and I've cut it out to show people, because it said what it takes to be a developer is not the same thing it is to be a politician. A politician has to bring different groups together. A developer goes in and tries to win.
Used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to win, you're going to lose. I'm going to get what I want, and maybe I'll give a little bit here, but I'm going to try and do something. Maybe you don't want to see me build a hotel here, whatever. And it's about how to win. It's not about how to create.
But if you take the emotionality out of it, Paul, if I'm maybe just pragmatic for a minute, you take emotionality out of it and you look at Donald Trump, okay? Support him or not. But you look at Donald Trump and you look at the rise of Donald Trump and you look at all the steps and stages that came before, okay? Is it really any surprise, really, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, that this is the condition we find ourselves in?
It's the outcome of partisan screaming. It's an outcome of talk radio. It's an outcome of reality shows where we've glorify and value the loud more than we do the compromisers. Compromise is a bad word.
Well, or the ones that have the authenticity and they speak their mind, and what you see
That's
is
true,
what
too.
you get versus
Right.
just the distraction or the
fake.
show.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So how do people get hold of you? How do they contribute to your campaign? And anybody who's in Irvine, please check out Farrah. And, she comes with my highest recommendation. If I was in that community, I would be voting for her, but I'm not. So everybody in Irvine I know better be voting for her, or else you'll answer to me. But how do
they
people
reach
find out
out
about you?
now?
So definitely you could go to my website. It's electfarrah.org.
And spell
And-
Farrah.
Farrah,
Okay.
and it's F as in Frank, not Sarah.
Right.
So
Okay.
want to clarify that. But yes, go to my website, check out the information there. And as you know, I am up against a financial deadline this June 30th, which is coming up. So if you're able to contribute any amount, would be very helpful. You can go to that website
What
and
happens
click
June
on
30th?
donate.
I didn't know. What happens June
So
30th?
every 6 months, there's financial deadlines, and we have to report how much we've raised. And the wonderful politics that we run here are based on who's raised the most money.
Yeah, right.
So in December, out of the 9 candidates that were running, I came up in the top 2, which was great because I've been reaching out to community
Very
members.
impressive. Congrats.
And I'm hoping to do the same thing in June, because that way, at least for those that have been established politicians here in Irvine, see me as more of a competition, and then I can become more viable, and people will actually pay more attention than for someone who's raised maybe $5,000-$6,000, and
Right.
they're like, oh man, what are they doing?
How many people? How many
But
seats-
isn't that sad?
It's very
If
sad.
I've raised an X number, and
Then
I
I'm a
hang that
serious
over my
candidate.
neck, I must be
Exactly.
a serious candidate.
How many seats are open? You said 2 of the 5?
2,
And how
yes.
many people are running for the 2 seats?
At the current moment, there are 10 people running.
Wow, 10 people.
Yeah.
So it's going to be another crazy. So a small slice will determine one way or another.
So every vote will count.
And some of these local elections, what was the one that's still hanging? There's one here locally in June. I forgot which one of the local races. It's down to like 50 votes or something here. Somewhere in the county, there's an election that's still hanging by that.
I know one of the school, Orange County School Board ones are pretty close.
There was one, I should remember this, they were coming and talking about. Anyway, your vote counts. In local
Yes.
elections, you could, point is 50 votes may change it one way or another.
Well,
50 people.
as we come to a close here, I just want to say thanks, Farrah, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I look forward to having you on the show again.
And win, lose, or draw, I hope you'll come back and alert us to local issues that are happening, because this is one forum we can tell people about what's happening out here. And too much, I'm sorry, of the government is just not talking to the people here.
No, and I just want to give those
Or doesn't know how to talk to them, maybe. Doesn't know how to reach out. We're in a town where we don't have lots of media outlets and stuff. It is hard to get the message out.
We need people that are, whether it's city council, whether it's a committee, the city has, whether it's a nonprofit. We need people that really are looking at things the way they are versus the way they nostalgically are, which is kind of funny for a person who's the president of a historical society to say.
Right.
But you know what? I've always believed that it's all part of your story. It's all part of the journey. This is a show about the journey of aging, but it's all about where you came from is important, where you are is important, and where you're going is important. In fact, you have a responsibility to make sure that not only is saved and protected for yourself, but other people in your community. So again, please check out Farrah for Irvine on Facebook, and that's Farrah for Irvine.
And as always, you've somehow found a way to tie this all together right at the end there, this journey. You just brought that. This is a show about the aging journey. The cities have an aging journey, and we need to focus on where we're going as much as where
now that we are
from.
on camera as well as on audio,
That was
what are
amazing.
you thinking of this whole last year that I've been with you? Do you think it's just a pretty face sitting in the...
That was amazing how you tied that together. I just feel moved now.
So I appreciate everybody joining us. I hope you enjoyed us toying with the video feed as well as the audio. Please let us know what you think of these shows. You can always send me a text or message me on Facebook through the Raad Life station. You can always email me at Raad, R-A-A-D, Gantus, G-H-A-N-T-O-U-S @gmail.com. And you can call me on my cell, 949-212-8299, and we will continue to bring you things that are important.
Keep chatting
that we
for 1
feel
second.
are
I got to
important.
find your outro here.
And again, I'm just going to say that Farrah has a proven track record, as far as I'm concerned. in building community in multiple roles that she has been
building bridges.
Building bridges, right?
I like the sound of that.
Okay. Are you? By the way, are you an Xer or a millennial?
Oh gosh, I think an Xer.
Okay. So again, I'm an Xer too. So I'm going to give a shout out to Xers because most people feel that we're sandwiched between. Again, I'm bringing it around, right, Paul?
Yes.
Between boomers and millennials, right? There's this thing called Xers, and this is a small.
We're important too.
The lost generation.
X, because we don't know what to call you,
right? Well, guess what? The more and more I talk to Xers, I'm realizing, okay, even if I'm blowing my own horn a little bit, is that we have an important role to play, and that is literally to bridge between the boomers and the millennials in the course of what we do. And here's a perfect example. Yeah, parents and their children. This is a perfect example of yet another Gen Xer who is acting as a bridge in her community. So please check out Farrah and donate if you can to her campaign. She's dedicated. She's dedicated to bring a bipartisan approach to stuff and be solution-oriented and stop this, camp non-development, camp development. You're either with us. It's time to stop saying you're either with us or you're against us. Do we need to remember what that led us to in the last decade?
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
You have been listening to the Raad Life Radio Show with your host and age explorer, Rad Gantos, brought to you on the one and only octalkradio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older.
octalkradio.net.
Welcome once again to the OC Spotlight, the segment where we take a look at the most amazing people doing the most incredible things right here in our own backyard. And we often highlight events or things that are coming through the county here, and this one is no different. Today, we're privileged to talk about something that's coming to the Bowers Museum. I hope you've been to the Bowers Museum over in Santa Ana there. I should give a plug for the address. I'll find the address in a moment here. But it's really, really a cool place.